Welcome back, everyone. I am so excited for this new day. Our very first special guest is Prithvi Madhukar, aka the Marketing Nomad. She's an entrepreneur, business owner, podcaster, YouTuber, digital nomad, and a nano-influencer with a zest for life. She started her company, The Marketing Nomad, in Delaware, USA, with the sole purpose of empowering entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, and small business owners across the world to implement long-term actionable marketing strategies and help them grow their business with confidence. Her social media platforms guarantee a bucket load of marketing mindset and business tips, along with her sense of humor and the side of wit. And today she will walk us through my entrepreneurship journey. Welcome, Preet. Thank you so much for being today with me. The floor is yours.
Oh, thank you so much for having me on your podcast, Diana. It's an absolute honor. I can't wait to share my journey with your audience and, of course, you as well. So hi there for everyone watching on Diana's podcast and, of course, on our Facebook page as well. It's such a pleasure to meet you today. So I thought I would start by sharing my entrepreneurial journey. So before that, I have to probably rewind back to my engineering days. I am an engineer. But during my second year of engineering, I realized that it was not something that I was passionate about, nor was it something that I could see myself working in it for 40 years of my life. So somewhere around my second year of engineering, I actually decided to take up an internship at my dad's office. My dad saw me lazing around, and as a typical Indian parent, he was like, you should stop lazing around. You should use your summer holidays for something good. And, he got me that internship at his company. So over there, I started, with the small stuff, helping them out with fixing the grammatical mistakes on their website or helping them understand what kind of social media posts they needed to post. So it started with the small stuff, but I absolutely enjoyed every single second of it. It was something that I found, happiness in, and time just flew when I was working on it. But at the time, I didn't think that I could actually make a career out of it. I didn't think that it was possible. And, the society that I was a part of at that point, it kind of felt that if you were an engineer, a doctor, or a lawyer, these are the only three fields that, you would be respected in or even be successful in. So I think that I was very afraid to even decide to choose another career path at that point in time. And I decided to stick with my engineering. I did go back to my dad's company for the next 2 summers and help him out with the same internship. And after I got my engineering degree, I realized, nope, this is not for me. I did not even apply to a single job after my engineering. I immediately went on to do my MBA. So I got an admit into Rochester Institute of Technology, which is upstate New York. And I started my MBA program. During one of my classes, which was a marketing class, it was like an introduction to marketing class. I'm sitting there in the class and it's a brand new class. I'm so excited. It's a new atmosphere. And my teacher, she's kind of asking questions just to gauge the level of the class and where she should start with. And here I was answering every single question that she was putting out there. And it wasn't like normal marketing questions or technical marketing questions. I actually remembered a campaign from Coca-Cola from like 10 years ago, and then another marketing campaign by Maggie 2 or 3 years ago. And it really surprised me because I had no technical knowledge in marketing at all. Like I had no degree in marketing. I only had an engineering degree, and that's not at all related to marketing anyway. So I realized that all my life had kind of led to that moment. All my life, subconsciously, I had been reading articles on marketing. I had absorbed all that information. I absolutely liked knowing more about it. I just didn't know it was called marketing. So I can even picture the dress that I was wearing when I figured this out in that class, Diana. But it was such an empowering moment for me. It was such a relief as well. I'd finally found my passion for marketing, and I found myself, looking at the next 40 years of my life, and I said, yes, I can absolutely work in marketing for the next 40 years of my life. So I was really happy. And after I completed my MBA program, because I was in the US, I was given 1 year of work time based on my student visa. So I worked for a year, and then I had to convert my student visa into a work visa a year later. And unfortunately, my work visa did not get processed. So that was a huge blow for me because I had gotten a really good job at a top solar firm in New York, and everything was going great. I had amazing friends. I had, called New York my home. It was one of the greatest cities in the world, as everyone knows. It was so beautiful. It was such a happy time of my life. And suddenly I had to leave the country. I had to leave an amazing job that I had been working for a year. So at that point, when I was leaving New York to come back to Bangalore, India, what I did was, I was, of course, really sad and frustrated and upset and in a lot of pain at that point. And I realized that I was at level 0. I was already starting from ground. I either could submit my resumes on LinkedIn and get a new job, or I could start something on my own. I mean, I did have an MBA degree, and not just that, I always knew I would start my company someday. I just thought it would probably be 5 or 10 years down the line. So I decided I would start the entrepreneurial journey instead of applying for a job. I thought that I would try it for a year. And if it worked, then good. But if it didn't work, I could always, submit my resumes on LinkedIn and try to get a full-time job in India. So I came back to Bangalore. I came back to India and I started my entrepreneurial journey. I started by applying on freelance websites. At that time, I did not set up my company yet. I really wanted to see if I could even do it because I personally knew how hard the entrepreneurial journey was. And I wasn't sure, it was definitely imposter syndrome at that point and limiting beliefs, you're not sure. Can you do it? Can you not do it? It was intense. And, I was already facing so much of pain and frustration from everything that had happened. So I needed to take that time to heal as well, emotionally, physically, mentally, all of those things. So I started and I actually began gaining a little bit of success after 3 months of starting my entrepreneurial journey. I say success because it was my definition of success. It may not be someone else's definition of what a successful entrepreneurial journey was like, but I was able to start earning consistently from that, from my entrepreneurial journey. And by, I think, June of 2020, this was around 2020, I realized that I could sustain this long term. And I thought about different ways to set up my company. So I was in Bangalore, India at the time, and I set up my company in Delaware, Claymont, Delaware, which is in the United States. And I actually am a location independent consultant. So before I started my company, I was actually freelancing for different areas of marketing. And then once I set up my company, I decided to niche down a little more because my niche was way too broad before that, and it was actually harming me instead of helping me. So I decided that I would be a marketing strategy consultant because I had an actual technical degree in marketing and work experience as well. I knew that I could help businesses in many different industries. So around this time, when I set up my company, I realized that despite having a technical marketing background, I was struggling. Despite having that technical knowledge, there's a little bit of gap between technical and, of course, the practical application of all of it. And not just that, even with business strategy, there is always a huge gap between what you study, what you see outside, all the business case studies that you read, and of course, implementing it for your own business. And when I tried looking for information on Google, I realized that most of the strategies were either too complex for the stage that my business were in, or it was those kind of get rich quick kind of schemes which were not helpful long term. So this got me thinking, and I realized that I actually wanted to help businesses out with their marketing, because if I was struggling despite having a technical degree, then I can only imagine how much they could be struggling as well. So that's when I started my podcast, where I would give free tips to business owners, to entrepreneurs, to solopreneurs, and I kind of found my higher purpose. So my passion was for marketing, but it was around this time that I found my higher purpose. I decided that I would go all out to help business owners as much as possible to confidently implement long-term strategies for their business. And it was around this time that I also started my YouTube channel. I started an Etsy digital shop as well to help business owners with digital marketing products to help grow their business. I also, on my Instagram page right now, I also give tips so that business owners can lead a more holistic life. Well, yes, I do have like paid services, like paid consultation services. I think that my higher purpose has driven me to a point where more than, the money aspects of the business, I think that my mission is to make my followers, my subscribers, all of those business owners, entrepreneurs, and solopreneurs as comfortable as they can be with implementing marketing strategies by themselves. Because sometimes, especially during the beginning stages, you may not have that kind of money to invest in a full-time social media manager or marketing manager, and you may not even have the money to invest in an independent contractor, which was exactly what happened to me. I was completely broke. I was a broke entrepreneur when I started out, right? So, it was intense for me. And, there were different money mindsets that I had to learn. There were different marketing strategies that I needed to tweak so that I could, afford it, or I could implement it myself. So that's basically my story. This is where I'm at. I've worked with 60 plus clients in the last 3 years of my journey. I'm a YouTuber right now. I'm a podcaster. I'm a nano-influencer on Instagram. I also have my own Etsy digital shop, and I have a book coming out very soon as well to help business owners as much as I can.
I love that. Thank you so much, Pri. Thank you for sharing that with us. And I know that many people are listening to you, and they are also wondering, how can I make it? The question of always at the beginning, can I actually really succeed in this? And you are an example that you went through and you managed. I would like to ask you, how did the social media help you in terms of growing your business and gaining visibility on the market?
I think social media is super, super powerful. I think that we belong to a digital age where you can really use social media to maximize your presence. And for me, social media has helped me in so many different ways. Lead generation, getting leads through my social media platforms. It has helped me with brand awareness as well. People who never knew me before now know who I am. They know the Marketing Nomad, which is my online pseudonym. And not just that, it also helps me with building that trust and that loyalty. Because I'm a location independent consultant, most of my clients are not actually in the place that I live. I have actually worked with clients from 8 different countries so far. So, when it's with the online world, there's a little bit of skepticism, and it's hard for my potential client to trust me. So having a social media platform and them seeing the kind of content that I keep putting out, it actually helps them to trust that I can deliver, or even trust me as a person. They can help to see my personality and, gauge whether that's a good fit for them as well, because it works 2 ways, So I think that social media in a lot of ways has helped me grow my business. And because I'm a digital entrepreneur, fundamentally, I think my whole business is based off of social media. So if you are a business owner out there, definitely do take advantage of social media platforms. I believe that it helps to keep one specific goal per social media platform. Like, for example, if you are on Instagram, maybe keep that for lead generation. And if you're on Facebook, maybe keep that for brand awareness. There's so many different goals that you can apply, and then make sure that the content that you're putting for each of these platforms align with the goal. So that's like a huge tip that I can give your audience.
I like that. Thank you so much, Preet. What I would like to ask is that something that I noticed for myself, but something that also my clients are telling me a lot, is that we are getting overwhelmed by the content creation. Is like we have to put so much content out there. When I started myself, it was like in 2020. I learned that we should be putting at least once per day something on social media. Now, I recently joined another training, and they were telling us they are putting content out there at least 4 to 5 times per day, which is getting crazy. It's like we are spending our entire time no longer coaching or training or doing other things for our clients, but we are spending our time putting things on social media. What would you advise us to do?
That's such a great question, Diana. And this is a question that I also get asked a lot as well. So I really am happy that I get to answer this question for you and your listeners. So the key with social media content creation or any kind of content creation is consistency. That's it. It doesn't matter if you post 2 times a week or if you post 5 times a day, you just have to be consistent. Because when you are consistent, what happens is that your audience feels like, okay, this person shows up every Tuesdays and Thursdays. I can trust them because I have a predictable routine to their content creation schedule. Not just that, I have actually, and this is something that I've written in my book that's coming out, is when it comes to content creation, you know, as a marketer myself, in the beginning, I struggled with this a lot because I looked at myself as a marketer and not as a business owner. So I only focused all my attention on marketing, whereas there were so many other tasks as a business owner. I mean, I had client work, I had administrative tasks. I mean, I was the janitor. I was also the person who was figuring out my life as well, you know, like my business, the back end stuff and everything. So what I realized was that marketing and your content creation should only be one part of your business. And I have found that because there is so much pressure on content creation, it is natural for people to focus a lot on it. So here's a little trick that has worked so well for me. I mean, I'm on like 4 different platforms. So I definitely have a trick or two up my sleeve when it comes to managing my time. So when it comes to content creation, here's the trick, okay? Figure out how much time you need for all your other tasks. Okay, arrange them according to priority wise. So maybe filing your taxes is way up on the priority list. Your administrative tasks are also way up. Figure out how much time that you need for each of them. Subtract that from the total amount of time that you have. Okay, the remaining time is the time that you need for your content creation. So initially I was spending like 9 hours or 10 hours per week on content creation. But when I used this method, I found out that I only had 3 hours of content creation. Now this 3 hours works for me, okay? So I only had 3 hours of content creation per week. This is just an example. What I would do is I would make sure that my podcast recording, my YouTube videos, all of those matched whatever time I had on hand. So if that meant only 2 podcast episodes a week, I would stick with that. 1 YouTube video a week, I would stick with that. Sometimes, 3 Instagram posts, that was all that I could manage. And that was all that was enough for me to grow a quality following of people. So I know a lot of people say, oh my God, you have to put quantity out there. It's really not. It's only about consistency. As long as you can consistently keep up with it, the frequency does not matter. Okay.
I love it.
Yeah, so I think that's a really good way to go because that way you can
Yes.
balance everything that's happening. You're a business owner, you're not a marketer, you know? And I think
Yes.
understanding that is a very key mindset shift that people need to make.
Yes, absolutely. I fully agree with you because I know that we also have many coaches
Yes.
on our platform. And what I noticed when I started also my coaching business is that coaching is not really about coaching, but it's about marketing and sales. And I
Yes.
started to realize that, okay, what am I doing? I'm not really on the right path anymore. And this really helps. Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Prit. What
No
I would
problem.
like to ask you, maybe the last question before we close, is you mentioned that you are using Instagram for your lead generation. And
Yes.
I know that something that I also learned at the beginning is that it's important to have these leads coming to your database. But the question would be, what do we do after they come into our database from the social media?
So that's a really good question. So when I say lead generation, it's not always, I immediately go hop onto my DMs and I try to get people to talk to me. It's really not. When I say, I guess more than lead generation, I think I would say lead nurturing. I think that's a better term for me to put it because when potential clients come on and they follow me on Instagram, what they're watching on my Instagram stories or my posts is they're getting to know my personality. They're getting to know who I am. They're getting to know my knowledge. They're getting to know my skills. In a lot of ways, that is positioning me as an authority in my field or as an expert in my field. And that helps them build that kind of trust. So when it comes to Instagram, what I usually personally do is I don't immediately like ask them, oh, okay, well, you followed me, so it means that you're interested in working with me. I don't really do that. I actually give them some time. I try to build the relationship instead of going in for the sale. So I try to nurture that relationship first. I talk to them in the DMs. I add questions on my Instagram stories so that there's a conversation that's already building up even before I can talk to them about my services or what I offer. And this has helped me a lot, especially, having that interaction on my Instagram stories has started conversations that have really led to me letting them know that, okay, well, if this is what you're struggling with, then this is how I can help you. So I don't advocate going in for the sale the minute someone follows you. I highly recommend interacting with your client, your potential clients or your followers first, from a perspective of building relationships. And over time, they themselves will come out and tell you that, hey, Prit, I'm struggling with this. How can you help me out? And it is a very natural process. It does happen, but it won't happen if you force it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think this is the big issue that we are having, especially when we are starting, is because there is a kind of a stress around money and cash flow. We are getting into a whole different mindset, into kind of a desperation mode. Yes. And I know that doesn't work for the coaching business, especially. And when you are a consultant as well, or a strategist, because people can feel it. People can feel the energy when you are too pushy, when you are doing too much. And I know it for myself. I also did a few mistakes along the way. And then I was like reflecting, like, what am I doing? This is not me. This is not who I am. Absolutely. And then I had to take a step back and reflect and reanalyze, because not everything that we are learning out there is necessarily applicable to our character and personality.
Absolutely. And I think, if we think about it, when we are a customer, when we're on the other end, don't we take the time to look at their website, to see who they are, to see what's going on, to see how the product, we do take our time. So we have to expect that from our potential clients and potential customers as well. We need to give them that space to make the decision on their own instead of us forcing them to make the decision.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you once again, Prit, for being today with me. I would like to ask you, before we close, who are you serving and how can people contact you if they want to work with you?
So I am helping small businesses, solopreneurs, and entrepreneurs, coaches included, from any area of, any industry, any niche. Basically, I do my research. I am quite knowledgeable in many industries. That's why I decided to become a digital entrepreneur. And you can find me anywhere as The Marketing Nomad. My podcast is The Marketing Nomad Show. My Instagram handle is The Marketing Nomad. My YouTube channel is The Marketing Nomad. My Etsy shop is also The Marketing Nomad CO. That's company. So anywhere, everywhere, The Marketing Nomad.
I love that. I love that it's consistent and that we won't forget it.
No. Yes. Thank you, Diana, for having me.
Thank you so much once again. I love that. And I am honored to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye, guys. Thank you so much for listening all the way up until here.